Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the review. Today we're going to talk about the Hasbro Lightning Collection 2-pack of B Squad not Deca Blue. I was about to see. I done messed up and said Deca Blue. SPD Blue Ranger and SPD A Squad Blue Ranger. So let's get started. First and foremost, I like these a lot. But I think the one that people want to know is him. Obviously, you want to talk about SPD Blue. But this guy's actually new, so I want to talk about the A Squad Blue first. Very simple, very to the point. Heavily armored ranger, and if you didn't watch the show, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I like the fact that they kind of came with the pretty much the armor. And what's really cool is the boot design is still on a tilt. You can actually remove this armor by obviously, taking apart the figure, and you'll get a base black. So this would actually be used for a lot of customs for a bunch of people coming up. You can actually make a ton of cool bad guys out of this body type, because underneath is pretty much the same body, and it looks really good in jet black. So keep that in mind for those of you that are going to make tons of customs. You can see the vest is pretty movable and whatnot. But yeah, let's talk about this guy. I actually really thought this was cool because even though this is a SPD and you see the symbol up here, it's technically the in-space design modified helmet with some new back pieces and a new front piece. But this is definitely an in-space helmet, and it's pretty dope. It is. I like how they made it look different, made it its own. It's a good look. It's a good look to me. Now, in terms of our look, front and back, you see what's going on. Lots of dull gray, not any of the type of shiny metallic silver or gray. So this may need a repaint for some people in some eyes. It doesn't bother me too much because that metallic gray can get a little shiny in terms of photographing, but I would definitely hit this with a more matte gray in my opinion. Now, in terms of our articulation, our head can go up. It can go down. It's a little stiff in terms of going backwards and forwards. You can go left and right. You can't tilt though, so that's out of the question. Our arm articulation, nothing is hindered due to these shoulder pads. It's very movable. So we have our butterfly joint, which allow you to get forward. Now, mine are stiff on both figures. So if it looks like I'm struggling, it's because I'm trying not to break it. So bear with me, y'all, for real, for real. We do have bicep swivel, and we are double jointed. So we can touch our helmets. We have a horizontal peg on each one. Yep, horizontal on each one. And then our butterfly joints going backwards as well too. As far as our ab crunch, because it's soft plastic, and I thought that was a very good choice, we actually get a really good forward crunch on this guy. Going backwards, we actually get crazy articulation. I don't know why it's always crazier going backwards. I guess it's just easier. Our leg can go and hit the 90-degree angle. Nothing too crazy. We do have thigh swivel. As you saw earlier, we had the boot cut. I don't know what's stuck in my throat. Excuse me. Excuse me. We get super generous ankle pivot. That's what Hasbro always gives us in terms of that. And we are double jointed in the legs. Now, this guy does not come with much. I wish he came with more of the heavily armored equipment. That would have been pretty dope to have, because honestly, it pretty much works with the A Squad in the show. They pretty much have all these big gadgets and big guns. Giving him only one of the big guns kind of was a bummer. Another thing I want to talk about is there was a definite missed opportunity on the hands for these guys, because they gave him hands that technically cannot fit the weapons. Even with me slicing the finger so that way it can fit inside, because of the type of the handle here, it really doesn't fit. So you can't hit the finger on the trigger unless I warp it to come out. But that's as good as he's going to hold it in his right hand, even with the extended finger, right? Now, I did the same thing, and I sliced open the top finger on the right one, on the left hand. Wow, I'm tripping today. Really am. He can actually get his finger in the top one on the left side. It's going to take a little work with some tweezers, but he can get it in there. But I really wish they would had a weapon that would fit a little better. I think the hands are the only downside to A Squad's look, and probably coming with more weapons. But honestly, the not coming with more weapons doesn't bother me, because I can just get weapons from something else. It's not a big deal. You can grab some Marvel Legends big guns, slap an SPD logo on it, and boom, you have some A Squad weapons. That is a good deterrent. But as far as his 2-pack goes, I mean, just getting him was a plus, because we've never gotten anything like this before. So getting him has actually been pretty cool. I just noticed the A on the knee pads. So I'm glad they actually put that in there as well. So the A Squad gets his weapon, as you can see here. And it's pretty cool. I mean, don't get twisted. Like, look, it's one of those things where I'm very glad to get it. I thought it was pretty neat. And having it, I'm still happy with. But I'm still going to say, you know, a couple of things could have been changed. I think the hands is probably the biggest downfall. Now, alternatively, I'm guessing they chose Blue to be a hand-hand combatant because they gave him closed fist. They didn't even give Deka Blue closed fist. I'm sorry, SPD Blue closed fist, but they gave this guy closed fist. So he's going to be the close quarters combat guy. Then you'll get one nice little beam effect to be on top of his weapon. Make sure I add this in properly because it is coded for a way to fit on. Something's really stuck in my throat. Wow. And wow, mine's not working. I just had it on before this. So there's going to be an indentation that allows you to fit it on your blaster. I'm going to make sure I find it on mine. There we go. Now it's on. All in all, despite the hand issue, I think the SPD A Squad Blue is definitely a solid choice. As you can see, him posing up is very easy. It's very nice and it's very simple. I think he's a little shorter than our SPD Blue Ranger B Squad, but I do like the way he can pose up. Now, as far as this guy goes, this guy right here is magnificent. I love the SPD Red Ranger. I had a blast reviewing him. I had a blast photographing him, and this guy is no different for red and or blue. I think my thigh cut is a little off, but that doesn't bother me too much. I just want to point it out that maybe I got a bad cut, but boy, I am a fan of the Dekarangers. Therefore, I'm a fan of the SPD Rangers, and I love the way this came out. He even feels a little different in terms of plastic than the previous Red did. So I'm hoping that this feel-good plastic actually continues over with the other stuff because it's been a good time. As far as our articulation goes, we can go up, we can go down. It doesn't look like much, obviously, because of the way the helmet design is. We can tilt a slight bit, nothing crazy. But all in all, you're going to lose a bit of that emotion as far as he goes, but still a solid torso top. I mean, head up top. We can actually hit a very nice look on this guy so we can fold up past the T. We do have bicep swivel as well. We are double jointed. Pretty sure you can see that, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. And like I said, my joints are really tight on this guy. Like even after heating up, what, 3 times? So you can hit the dab here. And we have a really nice butterfly joint that allows you to defend yourself. And my left hand side is super duper tight. Like I'm going to have to try to heat this up again. But as you can see here, articulation is not an issue here for his upper torso. Even going backwards, the butterfly joint is really nice. The torso itself rotates around a little too easy, but it doesn't bother me because it can still hold poses as well as hold weapons too. Then you have that extra crunch going backwards and going forwards, as you can see here. The belt can move around once you heat it up a little bit. I'm probably going to have that repainted because the dull gray, while it doesn't bother me on that, it does bother me on this, guys, because it should either be a matte gray, not matte, sorry, gunmetal gray or a dark metallic gray. As far as our legs go, outward doesn't seem like much, but going forward, we hit the 90-degree angle. There will be thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and we still get our boot cut and generous ankle pivot. So posing this guy up to hit poses that are both reliable to the show and just having fun yourself should not be an issue. As you can see, he hits police stances or any sort of sword stances or weapon stance. Our double jointed, ooh, these are really tight joints. Wow. So as you can see here, not too much of a problem. They did give him 2 trigger hands, just like they did Red. So that means his left side is going to have a vertical hinge and the right is going to have, oh, they both are vertical. I thought it was horizontal, but they're both vertical hinges, which I guess with swordsmen shouldn't be an issue either. But yeah. Now, in terms of what else he came with, you will get one saluting hand, aka karate chop hand. You'll get a blaster effect. Now, the blaster effect I thought would fit on swords and weapons, but I've seen it in the promotional images. I guess this is him replicating his force field that he gets in the show, so he can put it on the karate chopping hand as well. There's actually a pretty decent way of covering, like if he's going to create force fields, why not give him a cool effect? So I didn't think about it that way. You'll get a right hand for holding the SPD license. I go in front. I know it from Dekaranger, so I'm sorry, y'all. And your license here, you'll get, but it kind of bums me out they didn't leave space for the backhand side to store it, even though they left that little part there. I would have loved to be able to store that back there. And then the license, let's see if we can fit it in the hand really well, which I'm sure you can, because I did it with Red, and I should be able to do it with him. My sweaty palms are killing me. But yeah, he can fit the license. This is a horizontal hinge, while the others were vertical. Same for this one, horizontal hinge. Now, what's really cool is that they give you the holsters on the side for him, for his, wow, what do they call it in America? But this is the knuckle piece that combines into a bigger weapon, and you can actually just store it. It's big enough to store on his sidearm. Oops, sorry, let me put that through. Slide it down. Which is why I thought it would be cool if they actually did it for the other one. So you can store that on the left and storing the sword on the right. So these can actually store in proper places, which I thought was a cool idea. This was really nice to have that they actually included this. Now, while they didn't give it to you technically in all its forms, that's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm just hoping they do a really cool accessory packs for all the teams later, for ones that you don't get weapons of and stuff like that, because they're still missing some of their other weapons, but it's nice to have. Then you'll get the long form here. Now, this is the long form to combine it because in the show, he was a really good sniper. You'll take the knuckle blaster, or knuckle duster, I should say. You're going to rotate it around, or I'm going to rotate it around, and you can actually combine it to make his sniper weapon. You won't get the sword one, but you will get the sniper weapon, which is pretty cool. So I like that they included that. So even as you don't get all of their weapons, you get most of their signature weapons, or ones that are used the most or seen the most, which is pretty cool. But I will tell you this. I have the Dekarangers. So what's really cool is I tested to see if the weapons work on these guys. I always do. And they do. So you can take the blade from the Dekaranger ones, as you see here, and it works. The same for the knuckles. So this one has the better painted, and it is a bit smaller, but it does work in the left hand on this guy. So if you want to dual wield, it fits right in. You can see this actually looks really good when it's painted. So if you have the Dekarangers, and it's one of those things where you're kind of at a point where you're wondering, like, should I use my old weapons and things like that? Me personally, I recommend it, but it may not be for everyone, but I liked how this looked. So I'm definitely going to use it for both photos and just to have on display. I'm going to take this down. Actually, because I didn't test this one, let's see how this looks here. So that actually looks really good as a sidearm. And I'm pretty sure this doesn't really fit because that poster may be too big. Yeah, too big. So that one doesn't work here. But all in all, overall, still pretty good. I think 1 out of 2 is still not bad. Actually, if you don't mind the way this looks, 2 out of 2. But 1 out of 2 ain't bad to look good on the side. So that's a plus. Now, I'm going to take a second. I'm going to pose these guys up to stand up. And then we're going to do a size comparison for these guys. So give me a second, guys. I'll see you after a short break. All right, now it's time for size comparisons. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to compare some of the Japanese Super Sentai stuff and then the other Lightning Collection that compares with these guys. And then we're going to do some other things. So first things first, here he is next to his Sentai counterpart, which I've worn out the joints on, and he's really worn out. And as you can see, let's move this guy over. The Lightning Collection actually looks really, really good compared to this guy, because I believe this is what, 2010, 10 years, 11 years now, and a really nice update is that of the Lightning Collection. I think it's a very good successor to what started all of this. So shout out to them for that. They definitely did update. While this one is painted better in some areas, this one just looks really good compared to it. So let's move him out of the way. Now, if you want to mix and match and you want to see how your deck of yellow looks or deck of pink next to your new deck of blue, I think they're a little too small, but it's not terrible, but it is a little too small. Considering that some of them were actually really small, but not this small. So let's actually move her out of the way. But I'm gonna mix and match for some action shots, but standing next to each other is gonna look a little funky. So keep that in mind. So let's keep you guys, whoop, that's not fair. Actually gonna show you a little bit taller, let's not do that. Let's compare to some other SPD stuff. Here we are with Deca Master, Anubis Kruger, Doggy Kruger. Here we are with SPD Red, aka Deca Red. And then we'll do the Omega SPD. See if I can get him to look really good in camera. So yeah, these guys all look pretty good with each other. I really, really like how this came out. Doggy is bigger than everyone else, the A squad being the A squad, but the rest of these guys actually look pretty good next to each other. It'd be nice when I fill out the whole team. Hopefully we can get them all completed sometime soon. Not too soon though, because I'm broke, but soon. Here we are with some other stuff. Now, if you want to see what it looks like with another type of Ranger team or a Ranger female, here we are with yellow. I modified my yellow's wrist to have SHF pegs. So here they are next to each other. Doesn't look terrible at all. Now, here we are with, oh, you know what? Before I forget, I got the monsters in the same day I got these guys in. So here you can test out how they look next to the monster. Here's King Sphinx, and he is gigantic next to these guys. So that's pretty crazy. But you know what's dope though? Hopefully I can get a Megazord and we see how the Megazords look. And maybe you can use these guys to compete with the Megazords as well too. I'm unsure, but I'm gonna figure out when I finally get my hands on one. Now let's test out with some other stuff. Here we are with SHF Kamen Rider Kuga. And these guys are particularly smaller than the Lightning Collection counterparts, but I feel like they still work pretty well together if you're doing some sort of action. Here we are with a G.I. Joe Storm Shadow, which is modified to be a little bit taller. Then we have Articulated Icons Ninjas. Seems to work out pretty well. Oh, here is a Mezco Me on a Gomez body. So Lightning Collection actually scales well with Mezco, looks really good with Articulated Icons. It should cross over pretty well with SHF. Again, it's really up to you and your world, so you gotta let it rock out how you feel. Next, we'll do a Storm Collectibles Skeleton. Here is a 1000 Toys Knight of the Slice. He's named Don. Magic Julio Don Juan, to be sure. And then last but not least, let us do a Mythic Legion, which is usually always bigger, and he still is. All in all, this 2-pack has been a ton of fun. Like I said, there's a little bit of a downfall in some, but it's nothing that would deter me from buying these because honestly, Lightning Collection has been both readily available and fun as hell almost across the board. So it's good bringing life to this line. It's good to see that there's some love there. And the minor gripes don't really like kill it for me. They just don't. Even though I can't paint, and that's kind of my big thing. Oh, before I forget, here is a Marvel Legend, which I totally forgot to add in on some videos lately. So here's a Marvel Legend. But yeah, as I was saying, it doesn't really kill it for me. It's not a deal breaker. It's not something that I can say I'm not supporting the line anymore for, because that's just not true. I've had fun with this, and it's cool to see different teams that aren't Mighty Morphin finally get some love for real. So if you've been enjoying the line, I hope you continue to support it. I hope you continue to enjoy it. I hope you found this informative. Hope you found it fun. As always, guys, please be good, do good, drink your water. Later. So I forgot to talk about the head sculpt. So here we are getting a nice in-touch zoom look as I work on photos. Realized I forgot to talk about it. Mine has a small like paint defect. It's kind of killing me, but yeah, it is what it is, right? Yeah, it actually looks pretty solid. But I want to make sure I included this at the end. So here you go.